welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith With. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here. Check out the series. Of course, I do hope you hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with all the episodes that we put out. 3 new interviews every single week. That's a new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which makes it a great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover those new ones, all the usual places that you can grab podcasts. That includes Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can grab us at NPR, WFPK.org, or of course, right here on YouTube for the video versions. Really, anywhere you get your podcast from, you can subscribe to Kyle Meredith With. And that's me, Kyle Meredith. Today, we're going to be talking about the movie Pain Hustlers. It was in theaters. It is now on Netflix. And in fact, I've got the director, David Yates and Lawrence Grey. Now, let's, Pain Hustlers, first off, amazing cast. We've got Emily Blunt, Chris Evans, Catherine O'Hara, Chloe Coleman, Jay Duplass, Andy Garcia, just to name a few. And I'll read the synopsis here. Liza Drake, played by Emily Blunt, is a blue-collar single mom who just lost her job and is at the end of her rope. A chance meeting with pharmaceutical sales rep Pete Brenner, played by Chris Evans, puts her on a upwards trajectory economically, but dubious path ethically, as she becomes entangled in a dangerous racketeering scheme. Dealing with her increasingly unhinged boss, Andy Garcia, he is fantastic at this, the worsening medical condition of her daughter, Chloe Coleman, and a growing awareness of the devastation the company is causing forces Liza to examine her choices. Pain Hustlers is a sharp and revealing look at what some people do out of desperation and others do out of greed. Now, as I mentioned, the pair I'm going to be talking to, David Yates, you know him. Of course, he directed the final 4 Harry Potter movies and the Fantastic Beasts trilogy. And I've also got producer Lawrence Grey here, who is no stranger to this genre as well. So let's talk Pain Hustlers. It's Kyle Meredith with David Yates and Lawrence Grey.
Nice to meet you, Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
Nice to meet you both. Congratulations on Pain Hustlers here. It's an obviously important story that you guys have told, and it's also very fun at the same time. I know that's a fine line to walk. But I know it's especially important considering the fentanyl epidemic that has been going on. You know, I was thinking like Prince. I mean, some of my heroes, it's already taken. Prince and Petty come to mind amongst the thousands or millions. I know this is the obvious setup, but why did you all want to take on this specific story?
David, it felt very much part of the national conversation in America. It sort of, looking at it from Europe, from the outside, it was just an extraordinary thing to witness. So many people losing their lives. And given that we haven't quite got to the same point yet in our own crisis, I was compelled to find out why it was happening. And then we came across Evan Hughes' article in the New York Times Magazine and discovered that Lawrence and Wells were chasing the same article. We sort of came together, joined forces, and we knew from the very outset we didn't want to tell a story that was like Eat Your Vegetables drama. We wanted to sort of bring as big an audience as possible to the issue and to the ideas within the film. So we, right from the get-go, developed a story and a screenplay that felt accessible, entertaining, but at the same time brought home the issues within the crisis.
Yeah, Lawrence, you know, I was also thinking like this has sort of become its own genre at this point, even you coming off of the Laundromat not too long ago. What does it mean when you're telling a story like this? I mean, do you see it sort of in that world at this point, like as a world?
I see each film project, you know, independently and what's compelling about each story. And, you know, this one, in a strange way, I had been looking to do something in the opioid space, but this felt almost like something completely different, like a peek behind the curtain of the world of pharma. It's true that the product Liza is selling in the film is an opioid product, but it seemed like so much more. It's as we read the story, this world of pharma is just incredible. You really haven't seen it explored vividly behind the scenes, and the story of the excess of these pharma salespeople really seemed like an incredible lens to be able to tell a larger story about our medical industry. You don't often get to see this level of debauchery, this level of excess. We saw, in addition to the article, David and I came across a video early on of pharma executives dressed as fentanyl products, essentially wrapping their crimes. So when you have an opportunity to find a subculture like that, it just felt like an amazing, amazing story, an amazing opportunity.
Those moments do seem rich for the movie too, and even beyond, like the stuff we see Andy Garcia and Catherine O'Hara doing, popcorn towers and stuffed puppy dogs. Like, and I think that's where the whole comedy is. I know some of this is taken, from is that the real life stuff as well? Was that in the story? Is that you guys being able to have some fun?
Yeah, well, it's a very interesting balance, the film. A lot of the specifics and those details as it relates to the criminal conspiracy, but even as it relates to things like CEO of a company being busted by emails because he might have an affair, or the bribery and the speakers programs and the little details like popcorn towers. That stuff is actually all incredibly well observed and real. Where we took license was we wanted to be able to tell a larger story about the industry, and Liza, the character played by Emily Blunt, is a composite of many different pharma executives in order to be able to cover a lot of ground. So it was really a balance between truth and fiction, but really, I think the strength of the film, one of the great strengths of the film that David brought to it with Wells's help, was just how well observed, how real, how vivid, how honest the world of pharma is portrayed.
Yeah, David, directing Emily Blunt, who, again, the tricks that you get to pull off, because she's not a hero, but she is. She's an underdog, but still knows that she's doing something wrong the whole time. Like, what did you want this character to be? I mean, because we like her. We're cheering for her at the end, even as she's going to jail.
That's good to hear. We wanted her to be an every woman, someone that we could all relate to. We wanted her to be flawed and vulnerable and ambitious and greedy. We wanted her to be someone who wasn't perfect, someone who was undervalued, underappreciated, unrecognized, despite her skill set of empathy and emotional intelligence. So this is, and actually, Emily was traveling back from LA to New York. She was getting on an aircraft the day before our film had screened in a recruit screening, a test screening for people. We're just sort of playing the film for an audience just to see how they responded to it, to learn about what was working, what wasn't working. And as Emily was lifting her bag into the luggage rack, this guy who was on the plane said, "Let me do that for you." And he said, "You're Liza Drake, aren't you?" And she went, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, how do you know I'm Liza Drake?" And he said, "I saw your movie last night. I was at a test screening." And he talked about Liza Drake like she was a real person. And he said at the end of the conversation, and Emily said it was so freaky and amazing. And she said, "You know what, I really like Liza, but I wouldn't have done what she did. I wouldn't have turned myself in." And the audience were responding to Liza like she was one of them, and that's what we liked about this character, that she isn't a sort of clean-cut heroine. She's someone who has flaws and vulnerabilities, and lets her ambition and her greed get the better of her. And that's what we loved about the character. And that's what a regular audience acknowledge. They sort of feel there's a truth in that complexity and in that nuance. And Emily immediately let Lawrence and I know about that conversation, and it blew our minds that someone had already sort of so been taken by Liza Drake as this every woman.
Yeah, and I will ride that train as well. I mean, to feel like that she is the real person, to not see that ending coming in the same way, and just feel a little heartbroken in the entire time. Mm-hmm. And David, for you, a decade in the wizard world, was this any kind of recalibration for you to kind of do this type of thing? Did you have to reset your mind?
Do you know the films I made previously in the Wizard in JK's world, they're very stage based predominantly. They're on big sound stages here in England, north of London. So we would build the most incredible sets. And in this movie, it would be Lawrence and I and our crew, our tight-knit little crew, flying around Miami or Atlanta, whizzing between location to location to location, piling out with a few trucks in tow, and setting up for a few hours and filming, and then getting in the van again and getting in the trucks and going off to the next location. So it was very much, before I started making big movies for Warner Brothers in that wizarding world, I was making dramas for British television. And those dramas were made in very much the way we made this. You moved quickly, there was a lot of spontaneity, and you wherever you pointed your camera was the real world, and that was your film set. And that was liberating and exciting for me to be diving into that again, compared to waiting 3 months for a big set to be built. So that, yeah, it was an exhilarating change of pace for me.
Yeah, it is a great movie, and I'm so happy you guys made this story, that I got to learn about it through this and through these characters. Congratulations on this, and thanks to you both for taking the time to talk about it.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week, new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.